A lot of these trends and a lot of these things, they're catching us by surprise. The fact that we are surprised is not new. Right? So unicorn caught a lot of people by surprise when it came out in April of 2017. It's been a long time now, but it still kind of confounds people to this day. First, they're surprised that people would ingest that drink, but then furthermore, how big it spread, right? And the fact that it crossed categories, that it was beyond food, it went into fashion, it went into cosmetics and hair color. To this day, we see it in children's wear. They can't keep it on
it
the
became
shelf.
such a good trend. And did Starbucks start it?
Yeah, well, that is often what we think, and we'll talk a little bit about that, because Starbucks was the one who made the most money off of this, right? They made $18 million. They did very well. They set records, making a lot in a very short amount of time. But I think more interesting than that was not just the kind of the consumption and the purchase of this drink, but the sharing of it on social media, right? So suddenly Starbucks was this incredibly relevant social brand. And I would argue that most people bought this drink just to take a picture of it. So it's a very different type of consumption. It's a type of consumption that the beauty industry is very much used to, which is let me buy something so that I can portray myself a certain way or look a certain way, and the way that I want. And this was kind of new for Starbucks. Now, what's useful about this trend is that we can see not only did it have a social impact on the brand, but also it had a social origin. So to answer your question, Starbucks did not start this trend.
Thank you for clarifying that.
A woman, a food blogger, about a year before the unicorn frappuccino was launched, painted her toast, called it unicorn toast, and this is kind of what a lot of people and a lot of studies will say.
That triggers the whole unicorn craze. That is great. Wow.
If only this woman could get royalties, right?
Yeah, right. I charge Starbucks even like half a percentage.
Yeah. What I would argue, though, is that no one really can claim an idea. This is perhaps unfair, but there was already a sentiment going on. There was already kind of an underlying need, an underlying current that made unicorn work, that made someone really like that unicorn toast post, and thousands of people really like it and help it spread. That made it work for fashion brands, that made it work for cosmetic brands, and it's those underlying currents that are just as important. And that's kind of what we look at. So we are a company that takes a bit of a different approach to looking at social data for a couple of reasons. So one is that we do believe that most of what informs a lot of these decisions is inexpressible, so that people don't necessarily have the words. So again, before this toast was ever posted, people were wanting this aesthetic and sharing this aesthetic for a while. And then also that it is a largely social thing, and that people are going to be influenced by what they see, and they won't even be able to tell you. So even if you had a deep one-on-one, psychology session with a consumer and asked them, why did you buy that Frappuccino? They wouldn't be able to express why. It just is a phenomenon that you need to be able to see and understand. So this is exactly what we do, right? We look at the content of photos, we look at the social connections between the people who are sharing those photos, and we actually automatically recognize that with AI. So that's a lot of what we're going to be sharing as the results of that.